Welcome to the Hounds podcast. This is a special Sunday episode. It's a bonus episode for the week. Last week I was a little bit busy and it was Thanksgiving, so we did end up skipping last week. So I promised y'all 2 episodes this week. It's a little later in the week than I anticipated. I was hoping to have it out by Saturday or Friday, but here we are and putting it out for Sunday. So I did keep my word. It is just a little bit later than what I thought it was going to be, but and I do apologize. The last episode, I know I skipped over the Bible verse and inspirational quote, and I do apologize for that. So hope y'all can forgive me for that. But want to start off this episode before we finish our episode out with Mr. Lenny Crowe with our inspirational quote, and that is: some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen, others make it happen. And that comes from Mr. Michael Jordan himself. And our Bible verse for the week comes from 1 Timothy 4:8. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all the things to come, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. I thought both of those are pretty good, guys, and hope y'all enjoyed those. But so I will not hold y'all any further. Let's get right back into this episode. Thank y'all so much for listening, and don't forget to check out all the links provided in most of your listening platforms. You should be able to find all the links to discount code, websites, partners, all that kind of good stuff. So, all right, guys, thank y'all so much. Let's keep it rolling, and let's drop the gate. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner again with Outdoor Dog Supply. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner again with Outdoor Dog Supply for the 2025 year. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. The guys are not just a business, they're houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field, put them to the test, get the latest in garment equipment, and they stay locked and loaded and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast but in field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase in equipment, make sure you keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now, let's get this episode going, guys. You know, another dog with the South Carolina State too is Rita. And both her and Pippin, both were Atlantic States champions, correct?
Yep. Okay. So the last one with Rita, the Dog Bluff Rita, she was a super hound. She so that previous year, she was first going out the 4th day of the All-American in Manning with 972 dogs, and she was so if it had been All-American, would have been only a 3-day. She would have been the All-American champion, which most hunts were 3 days back then, but that All-American was a little extra.
Of course,
she was first going out the 4th day, and she fell back to 15th. She scored good. I saw her in the hunt. I thought she would look outstanding, but I guess that pen was almost 2,000 acres, and you could get something to get seen. But she didn't
get lost. That's right.
She got lost and fell back to 15th, and but luckily her litter mate Ginger sailed in there and got a 4th at the All-Americans. I got lucky there, but Rita and Ginger were two. I'm going to talk about them both at the same time. They were two in a pod. They were litter mates. They were the last 2 litter dogs off of Rita. So Rita was, I guess, probably getting about 8 or 9 years old, and Rita and Ginger were about 4 weeks old. Okay. And I went out there to the kennels, and Rita was she weren't moving. She went to sleep. And I can remember the puppies running around, and she was laying there, and I was all upset. I was like, "Oh my God, these puppies! Hope they'll make it." But they did, right? And I raised them, and they were all that. They were 2 nice gyps to have. And we had so Rita, she won the South Carolina State in Manning. I think it was 750, 800 dogs, and She won first HGA, and she won. She actually won the Atlantic States, and then a month later she won the South Carolina State.
Wow.
And she had at the Atlantic States. I had a white number on her, and then I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna because we run white dogs. You got to drive the same number every hunt you go to. Whatever number we drew at All American, that's basically the number that Jips had for the rest of the year.
Rest of the year, right?
And so I said, you know what? I'm blackening this thing out. They ain't nobody gonna know who this is. And so I blackened her out. And then she got lucky and won again, won back to back, won the South Carolina State. And lucky enough, Ginger had placed. She won the speed drive that day at the South
Wow.
Carolina State. So she won the speed drive, and the day that Rita made champion. And they were just a pleasure to run. We had a buddy hunt. It was we all. That's when speed dogs got famous. If you
Yep.
ever heard www.speeddogs.net.
Yep.
And let me
Yep.
tell you, we would get on there and we would argue, and we would talk junk, and we would pick and cut up and talk junk. And it was West
Yep.
Coast dogs versus East Coast, West Coast versus
Uh-huh.
East Coast, and we would talk it up, and everybody would get the jaw. And so I finally told them, I said, well, I tell you what, I said, if y'all wanna, everybody's jawing, and we're gonna do it. Let's everybody bring two dogs. We're gonna pull names out of a hat. We're gonna buddy hunt, and
Yep.
we're gonna score these dogs, and we're gonna give out the top five or six, and then we're gonna call out whoever's dead last, and we're gonna call them out too. And so we went up to one of them pens up near Lumberton, North Carolina,
Okay.
and bought a whole loin, a big ribeye. And I think about 40 hunters of us got together, and we showed up and we pulled names out of the hat, just like I said. I brought
Yep.
the food. We grilled steaks and we casted dogs. And sure enough, that day, Ginger won first place that day, and Rita was like
No.
fourth. And a couple of them boys are like, "Oh, them dogs are for real." And after they got there and seen them, and
Sometimes you got to put them in check, don't you?
and they were so good. And I didn't think Ginger was ever going to win a championship. A funny story about Paul. Me and Paul's been great friends forever. He's one of my best dog hunt friends. And let me tell you, Paul is probably the best dog man I know in the United
Right.
States to this day right now. And anyway, Paul would judge all the time. And he was out there judging one of the hunts. And them dogs, she was starting to get old then. And they were
Yeah.
at Pamplico. And Paul come in there when the hunt was over. It was like 100 degrees. He said, "Man, I'm gonna kick your tail." I said, "Why you gonna kick my tail?" He said, "Just to let you know." He said, "That dog of yours." He said, "She was out there trailing and hunting." He said, "Burning it down." He said, "And I went in there." He said, "I climbed through them briars." He said, "I went through them briars and got cut up." He said, "And made sure I got in there and scored that dog." And boy, he said she looked good. He said, "I gave her all the scores she needed." And then he said, "Then I come out." He said, "I get back to my four-wheeler after walking all the way out the woods, get back to my four-wheeler, about give out of breath." He said, "What happens? The dog come out and followed him out and hit the road
Oh
there, and he
no.
had to scratch him." And
Ah.
because we don't get mad at people when they scratch
That's right.
dogs, they need to do more scratching. They don't
Yep.
scratch
I
enough.
agree.
Dogs ain't perfect. And
That's it.
anyway, he Paul told it. Then he said, boy, he said she had it too. He said she was wrapped up with the scores. Well, anyway, 4 or 5 months later, 6 months later, after the hunt was over, he come up to me and said, "Hey man, I just want to let you know." He said, after they done called it out, she won the first hunt, first trailing, first speed drive, first endurance. Perfect
Yep.
score. I've never seen that when I was at a hunt.
Right.
But it was actually pretty cool. And I never forget it because it was Eastern Carolina, with 600
Yep.
dogs. They gave away them big monster trophies at the end of the year. And I didn't think it was mine. I didn't think we had won it then. So they said, all right, they put all the trophies up there. Well, she was first in speed and drive, first in endurance, first in speed and drive going out the last day. Well, this dog's won first in hunting, first in trailing, and first in endurance. I said, well, it can't be me. I said, I didn't have no hunting. I said, and she normally didn't get a lot of hunting.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
but anyway, she went out and scored 65 hunting the third day, and the dog that had 85 got scratched. So her 65 moved into first, and
Took her
then
in the first.
she hit 30 to the trail. She produced a fox, and so Paul come up to me, made me feel so good. He said, just to let you know, he said she did not quit this hunt. He said it was over. I seen her; she was still trucking. He said we watched her. He said He said she deserved this and she did it. And by him telling me that, being the dog man that he was, I'll never forget it too.
That's a good feeling when and you've mentioned it before. I was going to say something about that earlier too, man. When you got a judge that comes out and takes the time to come out there and say, man, that dog looked great. That dog was it today. You know, that's the ones that make you feel really, really good.
Especially from him.
Yeah.
Boy, he's had some superstars. He's had some real superstars. He's got a superstar right now. He's going to win the Hound of the Year this year. I hope he does. I'm assuming he's going to win.
Yeah, I don't think he can be caught, can he? Unless a miracle happens, right?
I don't really know. I don't get in. I don't look at a whole lot of the points now. I go to some of the field trials. I couldn't tell you. I haven't looked at any points or anything like that in a long time. So I really, to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I know there was a few dogs in shot, but I'm kind of like you. I mean, I'll peek at it every now and then, but it's hard to keep up with. That is really hard to keep up with. Hats off to all those guys that have to do the scores and all the points and all that kind of stuff. That is some work right there.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I see two more I want to hit on real quick. That they're your champion of dogs. The Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds, and the top-level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossings. The Cajun Lights are headlamp-style lights that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood-style lights in red, amber, and white walking lights. Then the top-of-the-line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try on the red and amber setting to catch the game with the easy flick of a switch and go right back to your main beam light and see your hounds in action. Visit our website today at CajunLights.com and check out and make sure you fill out the survey and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase from Cajun Lights. Now let's get back to the episode, guys. We mentioned her a touch earlier was Jenna J.
Yeah,
your other wild name dog.
Yeah. So that was so Jenna Jameson. That was where her name came from. Jenna Jameson's still living today. Good looking woman. Anyway, so the funny story on that was that's when we bred. Her mama was Granger's Reed also, and so what me and Craig always did was when we were kennel partners, we would when it was his time to breed, he picked the stud dog. When it was my time to breed, I picked the stud dog. Mm-hmm. And so it was his time to breed. And Craig was one of those that read the chase, and he would study pedigrees. He'd study count of sire field.
Right.
He was very analytical, and
right.
He was detailed. So he had been studying that magazine, and he said, "We got to go breed to Shorty Blue." He said, "Shorty Blue," and he said, "We got to go breed to him." And so I'm like, all right, that's cool. I said, is he a lemon and white dog? He said, yeah, he's a lemon and white dog. I said, okay. Mm-hmm. And so we loaded up and we drove to Bill Linker's house. Bill Linker's famous. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, he should be. He's a big time dog man. He's famous from up in North Carolina. I can't remember the exact city. We drove up there we called him and went up there to his place to breed. Well, when you pull into Bill Linker's house to breed, and I kid you not, there were 75 dogs running loose in his yard when you pulled into that farm.
Oh my gosh!
They might have been from this big to 8 years old. And I say 75. If it was 75, it might have been 125. It was so many dogs. I thought we were gonna run them over pulling in there. They were just running loose everywhere, just dogs everywhere. And I pulled in there. I'm like, what the hell kind of place is this? I'm like, I wonder if he's got the stud dogs out here running loose and he's going to have to catch them or whatever. But anyway, so I'm already being suspect. I kind of blew me away when I seen that. But anyway, we got there. I'm like, all right, cool. So this is my Jeep, and I want to make sure the best there. So we get around there, and he says, all right. He said, yeah, come on, old Shorty's over here. And I had seen one of those blue dogs before because William Blue. William Blue was a hell of a dog, man. Super nice guy. Hunted with Johnny Stevens and all them boys. And he had some great dogs. I mean, I saw Ben Blue in person. Ben Blue looked like $10 million. He was a red dog. I don't like red dogs, but
Right.
he's a damn good looking
Right.
red dog. He looked like
Right.
a
Right.
pit
Right.
bull. Well, anyway, so I'm expecting to get there and see Shorty Blue to be a big,
Yeah.
nice, good looking white dog. We get around there. That sucker was about 9 years old, 10 years old, kind of old, scoungy looking hair, and he was ticked up. He had like red ticks all over him, like not ticks like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the color ticks.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I'm
Right. Right.
like, what the hell? I got to looking down and told her, I said, man, you ain't bringing that dog to my gym. And Craig said, yeah, man. He said, don't matter what he looks like. He said, I've been looking at the puppies. His puppies look good. He says, puppies are white. And I'm like, man, I'd already been telling Craig, I said, man, we need to go breed a Black John. I said,
Right.
we need to go breed um, to him. He's producing Bullet and Killer, and we need, and they were first and second All American, first and second international. So we need to go breed a Black John.
Right.
And he's like, nah, we ain't breeding no white jib to him. So anyway, we got around there and we throwed her in there, and I'm sitting over there pouting like hell, mad as a snake. I'm over there smoking cigarettes. I'm pouting, lips pooped out. And anyway, he got in there and he started trying to breed her. Well, he couldn't. Long story short, he couldn't hang her.
Right.
And so he said, "You want to leave her? You can leave her with me." And I said, "No." I said, told Craig, I said, "No." I said, "We're not leaving this dog." I said, "We're not
Right.
leaving her." I said, "Wherever we either gonna breed her and take her home, or we're not gonna breed." So we got in the truck and we got back in the truck, and he said, "Well, where you want to go?" I said, "Well, they got Black John near Indian Trail in Charlotte, North Carolina."
Mm-hmm.
I said, but they also got that Fox 4 Thundercat, and Fox 4
Okay.
Thundercat
Yep.
is a white dog.
Right.
And I said, and Craig said, okay. He said, well, that might be. He said, he looked over. He said, this thing just keeps slipping, going your way all day long. I started laughing. I said, well, we'll see. So we get on the old bag phone. We called the man up. We said, hey, you want to come check your dog out? And got a jip in season, want to breed her.
Right.
So we got up with the kid and pulled up. When we pulled up to the man's metal building, he had a kennel right beside the metal building. Old Black John was in there, and he looked about 5 or 6 years old, and he was bouncing 10 foot off the ground, just cutting cartwheels. I was like, "Holy smoke!" I said, "Look at that son, boy. He looks good." And Craig's like, he said, where's Fox 4 Thundercat? And the old
Right.
boy said, oh man, he kind of old or whatever. He said, but yeah, he's out here in this cow pasture. And we finally went out there. He was so damn old, he couldn't hardly walk up there to the kennels and let us look at him. And so he come up and he was woolly boogered and old and
Yeah.
whatever. I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
oh, no, no, no. I said, we ain't breeding him. I said, we breeding the Black John. So I overruled, and it went my way, and we throwed her in there with Black John. But we sat there for an hour. He still didn't hang her. Stayed there for another hour.
Ah.
Finally, they got hooked together.
Right.
And I'd always heard me and Donna would talk, and he said if you when the two dogs breed, if you want to have more puppies, you can as soon as when they come unhung, you go in
Mhm.
there and you pick the jip up and you hold her upside down. So so I told the boy that. He said, "You gonna try it?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try it." So we waited. All of a sudden, they come unhung, and I was already in the kennel. So they,
Right.
they unhung each other. As soon as they did, I grabbed Rita and I picked her up and I held her upside down. I held her for like a minute upside down, and she's fighting and kicking and all that. And anyway, she had 5 puppies, and they were great.
Uh,
That was a great litter. They ended up being she had 5 puppies, so they were one puppy was spotted, and
mhm.
that was the one I called Getting Jiggy. And that was another
Okay.
good one. And then we had another one we called that called Jenna J. She was blanket back with white points on her.
Yeah.
And then I had, so out of the 5 puppies in the litter, one of them he didn't have enough bottom to 3 day or 2 day.
Yeah.
He would
Right.
he placed in 25 1 days,
Right.
could not cross the finish line in 2 day or 3 day. And
Gotcha.
then the other four ended up hitting. I think Jiggy had like 4 HGAs, and we had another one we called Black Eye, but I sold her to Danny Bratcher. Recently, he just passed away. God bless Danny, and
Hmm.
Matt, his son, is a good dog hunter now. But
Hmm.
I sold her to Danny Bratcher. Was after me one of them Rita pups, and he changed her name to Rita. He called her Bratcher's Rita,
Gotcha.
and he ended up placing her over at Manning 2 or 3 times in 3 days, and then Jenna J ended up making a 2 time field champion. just missed the duel. She finished fourth in the field, fifth on the bench. She finished fourth on the bench, fifth in the field. It just never worked out
I
for her to
just
win a
couldn't
dual
get there.
championship. But she was all that. She won at least three speed drives in 3 days. And I remember one year we were at the South Carolina State, and it was one of them years that the run in had broke down. I think it was the year that Pippen won, and
Gotcha.
the run in had broke down. That was in '99, and
Mm-hmm.
the speed it took. It was like there was a dog with like 300, 400 point speed drive going out the third day, and anyway, they got ready and said, "All right, who y'all think won first speed drive?" And I was like, "Well, it can't be me." I said, "Because my other one's done got a trophy, so that one's not going to be it."
Right.
They said, "Well, you're Jenna J." I said, "No, she only had 50 going out the last day, and she hit 150 that day." And so what happened was, if the running broke down, they scratched back to, and the ones that had
Gotcha.
300, 285, they got scratched. She hit 150 to go with her 50 and had 200 won the speed
200.
drive.
Daggone.
And Samantha Fox won the hunting with 195. So she had 195 hunting to win the hunt
Wow.
class, and she had 200 speed drive to win the speed drive. But anyway, but yeah,
195 to hunt is nuts.
yeah, well, she scored 95 the third day, and just 5 points shy of a perfect score.
I
Perfect
was going to
score
say that's
90
almost perfect. Yep.
in that one. But yeah, that was but yeah, them was some of the good champions. And the only other one that you didn't have listed that I forgot. I've lost in my pedigree. I can't find, but the
Mhm.
other one that my ex-wife bought, we had bred a dog to we bought a puppy, a car Sid Gyp that was bred to Jungle Jim, and
Okay.
Jungle Jim got traded 2 or 3 times, 4 or 5 different owners, and all of a sudden he won the North Carolina State and the USO back to back. And he was a big white dog. He was like 4 or 5 years old. They put him in stud, and they had a big stud I had in the chase, and it said, "Welcome to the jungle." Jungle Jim was his name. And my ex-wife had bought me another puppy. One of my friends, baby Tim, Tim Johnson's son-in-law went and bred a jip to him, and I got a puppy for her. And Amy Lynn was a black dog, and she was another one of the champions we had. I think she won hers in '97. I mean '98 as well. So, but yeah, we were on a good run back there, man. It was
Yeah.
really good.
That's
So I would,
yeah.
like I said, probably
That's
won't ever
awesome.
do anything like that again. But I'm okay
Hey.
with it. I feel I'm happy to be here talking to you and go to the hunts and see all my buddies. I've learned that to be humble and be sportsmanship. I work on my sportsmanship now. I want to see other people do good, and I really, yeah. Would you like to win? Of course you would. You go every
Of
time,
course.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's okay, man. I got a beautiful grandson. I got a beautiful girlfriend. It's a lot of good things. I got a great job. There's so many things going my way, and I got friends all over the United States from this wonderful sport of fox hunting. So I've learned to say that overrules if you can't get a first place trophy, it's okay, you
That's
know,
it. That's
'cause I
it.
got lucky.
That's what, man. If more people would just keep that kind of thought process in mind, it would be, Lord, imagine the fun everybody could to have going down there. It wouldn't be no sour people leaving the hunts and all that kind of good stuff. All that kind of stuff. But you know,
Oh yeah,
one more before we move into the kind of our next little segment. We hit on a lot of those dogs real quick. Talking about getting jiggy, and I think we talked about Big Willie for a few minutes. That kind of stuff. One more I want to hit real quick, and this looks like a more recent. Looking at the pedigree on him, be your dog bluff Ruth B.
oh
That's
yeah.
your
So
bench dog.
good story there. So never won a bench championship. Never used to even show really. And
Right.
so we were me and the girlfriend that I have now. Her name is Mickey. They all call
Mhm.
her nicknames. Pretty Woman from Cool Springs. That's the what everybody calls her at field trials. That's what I nicknamed her. But anyway, so we were out at the All American in Mississippi. It's probably been, I think Ruth's now maybe 6 years old now. So I guess 6 years ago, 7 years
Yep.
ago. And so we had maybe 7 years ago. I'm not sure, but anyway, we were there at the All American, and it was Valentine's Day. Well, listen, I'm a guy, and I don't pay. I'm pretty good at remembering birthdays and
Right.
you
Right.
know
Right.
important stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Valentine's Day, I never hold. I used to always what I would do to the ex-wife. I would just buy like flowers and have them delivered away. But anyway, I didn't realize that during the All American, Valentine's Day was going to fall. So the third day or the fourth day, the rest day, we were leaving. We didn't make the cut that year, and so we were leaving early. And I went there. I said, and the hotel was only 2 blocks. I mean, 2 miles from the pen
Right.
in Picayune, Mississippi. So I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
well, hey, pretty woman, I'm gonna run to the pen and check on the dogs and clean the kennels up. And now I said I'll be back to get you in a little while. So I went there and did that. When I got back to the hotel, I get back. Lo and behold, what did she have? She had like on the couch in the hotel. There's all kind of damn presents there, and they were like,
Oh
I was like,
Lord.
oh my God, it's like a flashlight, a nice hat, maybe a pair of jeans or something. And man,
Right.
I felt about that big right there, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, oh my, I didn't get nothing. So I felt pretty bad. I took the presents and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get nothing, obviously. And so anyway, we get back to we pack up, we leave it, we get back to the pen. We'll Bucket,
Yep.
Angela and
Angela and Chris.
were
Yep.
leaving. They were leaving, and he had a bunch of puppies there while we were there. And there was this little teeny white puppy in the pen there, and he was pulling out with his dog trailer as I was leaving. And I
Right.
said, I said, by any chance, I said, you saw that little white puppy that was in there? And he said, no. I said, stop. I said, then pull over. I said, get her out. I need to get that puppy. And so I went back there. Chris got out there, pulled the dog
Yep.
out, and handed me the puppy. He said, I'll give you the pedigree and stuff later. Um, and it's off of what's his name,
Calvary.
Calvary. And
Yep.
he uh, he gave me that puppy, and anyway, so I went around the corner, walked back to the kennels where she was at, talking to a couple of her friends, and I walked around there and I handed her. I said, "Here you go, baby." I said, "Happy Valentine's Day." I handed her the puppy, and so that's her puppy. Ruth B is Mickey's dog, and so anyway, she was. I don't know how to show. I'm pretty good now at showing. I like to show now. I've actually got
Yeah.
into it. It's pretty fun, but it was
Right.
we were there painting numbers at a hunt over at Lonnie's C&M,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
went to a 3 day end of the year and never showed her before ever. So I was sitting there painting the number on her. While I was painting the number, she was just froze sitting on the
Right.
bench and never moved. And dang, I said, this dog stands good. I said, I'm gonna show this dog.
Right.
And
Right.
went up there and showed her, and she won best opposite sex that night. And so luckily enough, I showed her. She most of the time would get. She'd either be in the top 2 or 3, or get a best opposite. She probably had 5 or 6 best opposite sex, and she was fortunate enough to win the first one she won. We were at All American, so she won the All American Bench Championship.
Wow.
And I come unglued because I had never won a bench show
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so man,
Right.
I come unglued, and then she was fortunate enough to win the tomahawk chop, and then went back about a month later and went to South Carolina State. And somehow or
Made a
another,
bench
she won a
champion there
gold and
too.
everything.
I
Victoria
love it.
Kaufman was the judge,
Yeah.
and Victoria knows the dog. She can show. She knows. She's just like Angela
Mm-hmm.
Beckett, and
Yep.
she knows them like they do. And she was judging, so I said, man, this chick must be pretty nice if she picked her, because there was a bunch of good looking dogs up there. So yeah,
That's
that
right.
was
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. So winning, haven't won a lot of fields lately, but was fortunate enough to win some bench shows. And you know what? It felt pretty good. It was actually
I'm
pretty good.
sure. I'm sure.
Pretty
And,
decent.
and it's, man, them bench shows are hard work, man. They really
Yeah,
are.
it
You
did.
get up there and get to get down. I've always said they need to make them bench tables about 2 foot higher. Maybe we won't have to work so daggone hard. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick second and pause this episode, talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our Hounds guys, they're athletes. They give us their all each and every time they're cast. Elite Nutrition offers all natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits that they deserve. From the Canine Remove and all natural wormer to the ElectroBoost paste for electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement, they also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint and muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, the Canine Lactate Powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products to check out at CajunLights.com, and then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you get to checkout, and only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HT Hounds Tails Elite 10. So HT 10 Elite 10, in the discount code section to receive 10% off of all your Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products, guys, for several months now. Cannot be happy with the results. That's pretty much all I run my dogs off of. So thank you, Elite Nutrition, for joining up with the Hounds Tales podcast and taking a step forward into this field trial world. Now let's get back to
especially for us who got bad backs.
Right. My knees ain't worth a crap. So me get squatting down and doing that, all that bending, I'm like, good gosh, you about to end that sucker. You are worn slam out.
Right. Cool.
So, I want to move into some of your, we kind of touched on them just a little bit earlier. You've been president of quite a few. I want to talk about some of your leadership in this sport. Obviously you've had a lot of good mentors, a lot of good influences on your life. And I feel like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of helped push you in that direction. And I'm seeing just kind of in the notes, president of the South Carolina State, the Mid-South, and the Masters at some point or another. I'd love to hear some, if you got any kind of, how did you get to some of these roles? What was the process of getting there?
So I guess what Mr. Charles Graham, talked me into putting that first hunt on. I took a chance on it, and so I started putting on a couple of hunts, and then we also in '97, I believe, I became a director of the South Carolina State. They wanted to kind of influx a bunch of younger generation into it, and so I think me and Dono and Paul got put in that year. I think in '97, if I'm not mistaken. Right. My hammer was already in there, but we were. So I just started being a director, and I was already starting to put field trials on. I put me and Warren Locklear and a couple of other ones. We put on the Mid-South, David Kaiser, and Dono Clemens. We started the Mid-South and put it on, and then me and Sonny Cerny and Troy Williams, we started the East Coast Masters. It's pretty funny now to hear them boys in North Carolina, because one of the guys was there. I think is Fat Rat, I think's his name. He said,
"Yep."
He was there talking about the East Coast Masters. I said, what was that guy's name that started the East Coast Masters? He said, I'll be damned if I know. I said, you don't know his name? I said, no. That was me, by the way. But anyway, so just we started putting hunts on. Me and Paul, we put on South Carolina Masters. We put on, we just started putting field trials on. So once we started putting the field trials on, we kind of got it going on. We could get the judges. We could get we reserve the pen. We had the template that Charles and Lonnie and everyone laid forward. So we started doing our part, putting the hunts on. And
right.
By putting the hunts on, then Charles started pushing me to, he nominated me, I think, at the South Carolina State. And then me and Charles and Paul were all, I think, directors of the Masters. And I think the year it went to John Beckwith was he had them JM dogs, but John Beckwith he was the president in Sand Sifters when we were down there at the Masters, and Steve Ducote and Fred Walker and all them, and they had a meeting, and lo and behold, Charles was in there, and he was pushing me again, and he nominated me. I wasn't in that executive committee meeting then, but he pushed me in that meeting, and next thing they come out and said, hey, you're going to be president. And I was pretty young then, because a lot of times it was a lot of older gentlemen. But I've been fortunate. I'm going to say it comes natural, but it was pretty easy. I mean, I'm a leader at work. I've been an operations manager at T-Mobile for I've been there 29 years. So out of that 20 years, I think I've been in leadership 25 of the 29.
Gotcha.
So it's that kind of stuff comes, and I liked it, and I didn't mind doing it, and it was that's kind of doing it, and it was fun. You get the camaraderie, and there's a lot of respect to doing it. I remember going there and seeing Lonnie Mestre being a president of a hunt. Paul Caskey was the president of the South Carolina State before I was. My friend Ron Lambert was the president before Paul was. Ron Lambert, this fox hunter from South Carolina as well. He's one of my best friends in fox hunting, and he is He is a great houndsman. He was the president before me and Donna. I mean, for me and Paul were, and
Right.
so it's just I just took a knack to it. It became easy, and so I did it, and I was in a lot of those field trials. Started the East Coast Masters, started the Mid South,
Mhm.
was did our presidency. I'm still an active director after 31 years in the since '97 for the South Carolina State, but I'm not.
Very nice.
I haven't do. I'm not elected officer now. Now we're letting the young guys do it. So Paul Caskey's son is our president now, and
Gotcha.
it's being there to just to point them in the right direction.
Right,
Brad,
right, right.
another big one that is been there to advocate, to push a lot, to grow and support these young hunters and promote them and help promote the sport of fox hunting. So that's really what all I was trying to do. I just wanted to promote the sport and do my part. I
I
saw,
like that.
I saw what the big dogs did, the legends, and I said, you know what, I can do that too. So let me do my part while I'm able to.
I like that. I like that. That's awesome. And that's, I get a lot of questions from a lot of people. They'll hit me up and text me or send me a message or whatever, and they'll always ask, how did you get to these positions? So obviously, it was a lot of your mentors were a big help in getting you there. What are in your idea, because I'm sure going forward, you're seeing people that you're wanting to say, hey, this guy needs to be, you know, maybe put as an officer. What kind of thoughts or ideas or, whatever you want to call it, can you give to some of these guys that are listening to this and saying, hey, if you want to get to these roles, this is stuff that you need to do.
So you need to first you need to participate in the field trials and be a member.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
got to
Hmm.
buy your membership at a hunt. You go to the nationals, you got to buy a membership. You go to the All American, you can buy a membership. And then what you need to do is before you go, you need to start. I would recommend doing your part, doing a little bit of judging,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
participating in the field trial through running and judging. That doesn't hurt. If you don't know
Right.
how to, you need to learn how to do. I'm not the greatest field trial judge ever. I got a pretty good eye for a dog when I see one. I know good when I see it. I'm pretty good about that. But
Right. Right.
you got to put your time in and put your time in judging. You got to learn the rule book.
Right.
So if you go there, you're not surprised by anything. You understand exactly how it flows and how it functions. You want to I mean, you need to have good sportsmanship. You want to treat others how you treat yourself. You need to help others and set an example. And that it kind of takes care of itself. Also if you want to participate more, I've seen some guys, hunters, guys and girls.
Hmm.
They were interested because we have young ladies. Victoria is a director
Yeah.
on the South Carolina State. So when she's followed in her father's footsteps. Her daddy, Ronnie Kaufman, was all that in a bag of chips too. But he would you just you need to participate, and if you're interested in helping, I've seen some say, hey, I've come to, you got to tell someone, hey, I'm interested in participating and helping, and you know what, I'd come help y'all put that one day on to raise money, and I would come assist judging, or I
Yep.
could go get dog feed for you and help out. You got to be there. We're looking for basically it's to be on the board of directors of a hunt. You're basically doing free work. You're not getting paid for
Right.
it. Ain't
Right.
no money.
Right.
There ain't no money to
Yeah.
be made in. You got to
Yep.
do it because you want to help and you want to make things
That's
better.
right.
And it's
Yep.
and a lot of times, dude, we give it to the young guys now. Lonnie used to pour the coals to us, but he was right there with us the whole way. Charles
Right.
was, Mr. Hubert was, we all, Mr. Ebby McElveen was, Ronnie Kaufman, I just mentioned, Victoria's daddy, he was there. There's a lot of great people that were there laying the foundation for us. And now, when they were the older ones, they worked us good. And now we're pushing some of the younger generation. But really, there's not a script I think that you can follow. But
Right.
if you want to, the only way you can be a director is you gotta go buy your membership at some of these hunts. So you gotta go. So I haven't ever missed a USO independent. Well, Junior Jones come up a few years ago. He was president. He was on, I guess, a nominating committee to pick directors. he come back and said, "Hey, what do you think about being a driver?" I said, "Listen, I really don't want to be on a whole lot more boards, but if, I'm not going to miss a USO and a fox pen. I will be there."
Right.
And
Right. Right.
so
Right.
people coming and supporting the hunt, they see that person that hunter
Mm-hmm.
coming and supporting it. So then they're like, you know what? That I think that would be a good director, and then they extend the invitation, and then it's actually a lifelong honor. Then I was only in for a couple of years, and now I get an opportunity next year to be president of the USO, and that was Hubert Clemens's favorite hunt. Lonnie's been a master and a president, and I'm pretty sure Charles was, but it's a lot of the most famous people in all of fox hunting have been a president of the USO. So whenever I got the opportunity to do it, they come and ask me would I do it if I was nominated, and I accepted it because for the prestige of it.
That's right. That's right. That's an honor you can't just turn down. That's
Now
for sure.
I want to be like the other folks I hold up on my Mount Rushmore, which my Mount Rushmore it might be different than yours. It's not right or wrong, and it's okay
Right.
because we all need a lot of mentors and stuff in our life. And
That's right.
you know, in Virginia, I know Al Legrand, and I know a bunch of
Yep.
folks, big time hunters from Virginia. Some of my best friends are up there now. Andy Wickham, and he's
Yep.
been a past president of the USO, and young Corbin Gallagher and his family, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
great Rooster Boyds up there. I know a lot of
Yep.
those
Mr.
folks, and
Boyd. Yep.
so everywhere we got them, and all those folks do their part. All those names I just said, they all participate in the
That's right.
USO All American, the Virginia States, the West Hanover, whatever
Yep.
hunts out down that part of the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Right.
really how you go though. You get to get in, you got to start going and participating, and then
Mm-hmm.
hey, it doesn't hurt to say, hey, if y'all ever need some help, check
Yep.
me out.
Yep. Show some loyalty. Show some. Some eagerness. Show some willingness to get in there and get your hands dirty and not just go there for the hunt. You know what I mean? So no, I like that. Talking about getting, I guess you could say getting your hands dirty. I want to hit on this too while we got this time. There was something that you were involved in with Change for the Sport. It was and I'm not going to steal the whole spotlight, but it was. Looks like it was something that needed to be changed. So I'll kind of let you take the wheel on this and what exactly you had a big influence on and
Yeah,
what the reason behind it was.
yeah. So basically, um, like I mentioned, when I first started hunting, we were field trialing in fox pens. We were transitioning from the outside. There's still a lot of outside hunts, but there's not near as many pin as there
Right.
is pin hunts.
Yeah.
So the maturation of going from the outside to the pins, it changed
Right.
fox hunting. And then with the introduction of coyotes, it really changed. And
Right.
so we were going. So the way the national rules is, and I love the national rules. I like masters rules. I was a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of it. I made some of I made follow out some of the rules in the masters. I got my name all over them, but they
Right.
so in the national rule book, the way they score the outside field trials to this day is the old way we used to do all national affiliated HGA hunts, and it was basically you had to have 40 total points to get endurance,
Hmm.
and you had to have hunting or trailing
Gotcha.
plus speed and
Right.
drive plus hunting and trailing, and
Yeah.
it equal 40 or more points, and then you could get a quarter of that. It could be your endurance.
Endurance.
So
Right.
what was happening was we would have in like I mentioned, James is busy had placed in a bunch of hunts in say Pampa. I use South Carolina, even though it was happening more relevant out west.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
he had probably won 8 or 10 hunts, speed and drives, but wasn't a champion. And
Right.
so it come a time where first in hunting, if you go out there and score 15, 20 points a hunt because you weren't getting as much hunting because the running was more, so there weren't as much opportunities to hunt. So the speed and drive scores were exploding. You
Right.
start 300, 400 point speed drives, dogs finishing the hunt with 1,000, 1,200, 1,500
Right.
speed drive, and it just didn't look right. That you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there for 3 days and a dog. I'll give you an example. A dog at the All American made the cut with 10 to the hunt, 15 to run, and a dog with 400 speed drive didn't make the cut. That's not right.
Right. Right.
And
Right. Right.
so I just thought that it was time that we had coyotes there. We're getting this wall to wall running. They're starting to hear talk of the Masters is coming along, and so I said, you know what? I was starting to put on. I was putting the Mid South on, putting the Horry
Mm-hmm,
County hunt
mm-hmm,
on. I
mm-hmm.
was already a board director at the South Carolina State. And we went to the Nationals, and we a lot of chatter was Jeff Benachek was on the rules committee. Jeff's a big time director in the Nationals. He's big time USO guy. He's our secretary. He is so smart. I'm just telling you, he's all that in a bag of chips too. One of the best secretaries ever. And so he was on the rules committee, and we'd heard that somebody had mailed the proposal in, a recommendation to score, to basically say you didn't have to have hunting or trailing to be able to be eligible for an endurance score. And
Right.
so it was written in. The rules committee reviewed it. There was three of them. I can't remember the other two, Jeff and two more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jeff was up there. Everybody had heard about this. We had, George Hill, Judge.
Yep.
The judge was there, Judge Richardson. He's big time
Mm-hmm,
in the
mm-hmm.
Nationals. I mean, Parker, Mr. Parker was there. There was, Mr. Charles Graham was there. Everyone was there, and I knew it wasn't going to carry because when you go to these meetings, it's Robert's Rule of Order. It's how you have to carry the meetings.
Yep. Right.
You make a motion, someone seconds it.
Yep. Right.
Basically, if someone doesn't, if they're listening to this, and you're not sure where they go, Google it, Robert's Rule of Order. That's how
Right.
most meetings are held.
Correct.
So Jeff came from the membership meeting. We had the membership meeting in Grenada, Mississippi. There was probably 350 people there at least in Grenada. That place was packed. Everybody kind of
Right.
heard rumors it was going to come down. They heard I was going to do it because I told a couple people. I said, if they don't
Right.
approve that rule this year, I'm going to do it. And I said, I knew it wasn't going to carry. I said,
Yep.
but I wanted to make a point that it was that there was if 50-50 that people that it would get some traction. So
Right.
basically they made the motion. He said we do not, the rules committee does not recommend this, and that's how it ended. And so
Yep.
at that point it was over. So then I stood up and said, hey, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the rule is written the way that you just worded it. And one of my buddies was there. He come from the floor. He said, I second it. And next thing you know, it went to it was supposed to go to and I requested a ballot vote. Well,
Right.
the judge was there, Judge Richardson, big time. He went ballistic. George was over there. He was going ballistic. I mean, when I say people going ballistic, it was getting heated. It was
Yeah.
heated.
I bet.
Um, I mean, these people are serious. There's one thing
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the Nationals. The Nationals is going to stand the test of time.
Right.
They don't make change quickly.
Right.
And in this situation, I knew they weren't going to make it, but I wanted to make a point. I wanted to see, was it 50%? Was it 52, 49, 48? I
Right.
mean,
Right. Right. Where were we
how
at with
close
it?
was it? And
Right.
so Jeff, we was going to do the ballot. But anyway, long story short, the Judge Richardson took over. He showed his tail. Everyone else showed their tail. They said we're going to just do a holler vote, and they hollered it vote. Well, we did it. There was people in there hollering that night that did not buy a membership. They were there with their family members, and they'd say all in favor. These crowd would go yay. The other people would say all opposed. Other people would holler, and it wasn't legit. I still knew it wasn't
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
carry.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, though, 10 years to the day, exactly 10 years, the next national meeting. That's how long it took.
Right.
Um, they proposed
Right.
that exact same rule change, and it passed and carried, and it carries to this day. And so now
Gotcha.
you can win a field trial. You can win first in speed drive, first in endurance, and have 200 HGA points, and you can you'll beat
The
another
hunting dog.
dog. So you can win a
Right.
field trial and make a champion. And that was the whole thing that we needed them. And so in the West Coast hunts, they had a bunch of those like that. They were David Helms, Tiny Helms would have won no telling how many championships if if that rule wouldn't have been the Nationals. That it was more prevalent with Robbie Bogue. I know Mr. Robbie, God bless him too, and Mr. David. I got
Yep.
pictures of both of those guys. They before they went to heaven, and when I seen
Right.
them All Americans, um, they were man, they ain't no telling what they would have won if those rules would have been changed. But I just wanted to do it. I thought it was the right thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still to
Yeah.
this day believe it was the right thing.
I think you're
Now,
right. Yeah.
did it cause some hard feelings? It did. Um,
Yep.
it did. It caused a little hard feelings, and then I probably took a little chip on the shoulder, and I said, well, you know what? Fred Walker had called me, and he was the founder of the Masters, and so I got with Mr. Charles, and I got with Paul, and I got with Sonny Cerny, and Troy Williams heard about it. He wanted to get in on it, and
Yep.
so we got involved, and we put it to going, so it wasn't cool to run Masters hunts back in the day, and so we
Right.
joined, and I was president in 2009 of the
Very nice.
Masters, and that was the turning point of what made the Masters relevant today. Even I talked to Ronnie Norris about this the other day. He's the owner of the
Yep.
Masters, him and his wife.
Right.
Um, uh, I'm not sure if they're married. They might not be married, but anyway,
Yeah. Either way. Yeah. Yeah.
they're. I was talking to him about it. He doesn't even know about this and how it come about. And
Wow.
so basically, when I was president, I made a point there. I was really good friends with a bunch of diehard national folks, and they would not go. The diehard national loyalists wouldn't go 10 feet, wouldn't go 100 feet near a Masters hunt. Some of them
Right.
say, "I'll never judge a Masters. I'll never do this. I'll never participate in one." So I basically said, Mr. Charles wanted me to take the hunt to Pamplico. The All American was just at Pamplico, and I said, "No, Mr. Charles." I said, "I'm gonna go. I'm going to North Carolina." And I
Yeah.
said, "We're going to Creedmoor." He said, "Why are you going to go to Creedmoor? We should have it right here in your backyard." I said, "You're right." I said, "But we just had the All American here." I said, "But this is our chance." I said, "They never had a Masters affiliate out there ever.
Right.
They think it's evil. It's bad stuff." And so I said, "It's not bad." So I thought about it long and hard. I crafted up a letter. I sent it to people like Lewis Garner, which is a legend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, you know, John Fields, Jeff Benachek, Harvey Hardison, Barry Hilton, um, the, to the Barefoots.
Yep.
Lonnie
Yep. Yep.
Barefoot, I think he'd already gone to heaven. We got him in the Hall of Fame that year. Sent it to his brothers and them. Can't remember. I probably sent about 25 or 30 letters out. I'm going to tell you what. And I basically said in the letter was, for us to have the best field trial in the United States of America, we got to have the best dogs and the best houndsmen to do this. And we got I got they came out, they all come and supported. So Jeff Benachek, when he was president of the Nationals, I went and supported him. I ran 15 dogs in the Nationals. He came and supported me when I was president of the Masters. Uh, Harvey Hardison, Lewis Garner, son, he is one of the best dog men to ever put a collar on a dog.
Right.
He came and supported. There was other ones that we sent the letters to. John Fields. John Fields, and I learned this from John. John was a hell of a nice guy. John called and invited me. He didn't send me a letter, but he called and personally invited me to come run the USO one year. He said
Right.
on the outside, he said, "Lenny, I'm president, and I would really be an honor if you would come and run the USO." I said, "Joe," I said, "John," I said, I really don't got outside hounds anymore now. I said, "But you know what? Since you called and asked, I'm coming." And I said, "When is the dates?" He told me the dates. I said, "Man, we're going on a snow skiing trip that week." And I said, "You know what? I'll come. I'll come the first 2 days, and I'll have to leave after the second day, and I'll get some of my buddies to run my dogs the third and the fourth day." So I
Right.
went and participated in that USO, and I learned that from John, and then I used that same thing. And so anyway, they showed up. Lonnie Ward, a bunch of other ones, they all showed up, and you can write the rest is history after that. Now you got it. Now you got the Masters in Virginia. Now
Yep.
you got the Masters has happened in Canada. Now it's
Yep.
went everywhere. And so
Everywhere.
what we started, so and listen, I'm not taking all the credit for pushing the Masters because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul Caskey pushed it hard too. Me and Paul, we put on the South Carolina Masters. We were big supporters of the Masters. Mr. Charles bought stock. I just found my stock certificate when we bought. So you had to buy stock in the Masters to get you got a certificate. So to be able to attend and participate in the executive committee meetings, you had to be a stockholder. You get a stockholder
Gotcha.
meeting. And so I bought $100 worth of stock, and that's when $100 I each didn't have $100. But
Right.
anyway, that's kind of the way we started with it. And you know what? Now it's everybody wants to do it. You
That's
see,
right.
you ask Brandon, does he like Master Sons? He loves them.
Oh yeah,
And
that's for
then
sure.
I've also I did I promoted, I pushed the two judge scratch rule
Yes,
for battling. That was
big
I'm the
fan of
one
that.
I'm the one that pushed that. I'm the one that
Yep.
wrote it and voted. We voted it in. The executive committee, we voted it in, and I don't know. I'm not 100%. It was the right rule or not. I'm be honest with you. I still second guess myself today. I know
Yep.
that I know that a bunch of honest mistakes were made in the past that we
Yep.
had seen. Charles
Yep.
Graham, Hubert Clemens told me
Yep.
just straight up honest mistakes that were made
Oh
that they
yeah.
had
Yeah.
witnessed. And so I said, well, it happened at the All American one year, like 5 minutes in, one of my dogs that got scratched. Bobby Cleghorn was looking the other way.
Yep.
A silver fox crossed the road. He didn't see it. Back then, if they thought one was backwards, they run a backtrack. He got scratched.
Got scratched.
Judges
Right.
back in the day would scratch dogs. They don't scratch dogs anymore today.
That's right. That's right.
They so lenient. The only way you want to scratch a dog now is if they come up and lay down. There's a
That's
few
right.
judges. Hammer, Ryan Watson, he'll scratch one. Paul Caskey will scratch one.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
they're
As it
good
should.
judges.
Right.
Ryan Haas, he's one of my best friends. He'll
Yep.
scratch too. But
Right.
they just don't do it anymore. So, but anyway, I sit back. Me and Brian still talk about it today. I don't know if that was the right thing. It's never been changed. I'm not on the board of the Masters anymore. I don't participate like I used to. I kind of got out of all the boards. I stayed on nothing but the South Carolina State, and
Gotcha.
I quit putting field trials on, and I just participate in hunts now. I did my
You
15
did your
years
time.
putting on field trials, and so now I just go and show up and participate. And but yeah, I'm not sure it was the right rule, but it's still there today. So somebody must like it.
It's one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is
I
one of
know,
my
right?
favorites. The Hounds Tales podcast is proud to announce our newest partnership with Dog Tight. Y'all watching on video, check out the hat. Be sure to check out dogtight.com, and if when you are there, use our discount code HoundsTales15. That's HoundsTales, TALES, and the number 15 to get a 15% discount on any of your apparel that you get from dogtight.com. I'm sure y'all recognize the name, the Dog Tight song, Carson Robertson and Dog Tight clothing line has jumped on board with the podcast, and we are very, very excited to see where this takes us. So be sure, if you're looking for Dog Tight apparel, hats, hoodies, shirts, check them out, dogtight.com, and use our discount code HoundsTales15 at checkout to get 15%. All right, guys, let's get back to the episode.
Well,
Yeah.
good. A bunch of my buddies would argue they don't like it because
You put 20 people in the room, there's going to be 20 different answers on that one, probably.
I'm sure, but we talk about it a lot. But anyway, I told him it was funny because I heard somebody saying they were complaining about it. I said, what was the guy's name that got that rule passed? He said, I don't know. I said, that was me. But anyway, that was good stuff. But hey, it wasn't just me that took the rest of the executive committee had to vote it in. Steve Ducote was big.
Right.
Skinny Smith, a lot of those hunters out west
Yeah.
that were there. Some of my best friends, they were there and they voted it in too. So
I like that. Yep.
takes more than nomination. It took votes.
That's right.
That way,
That's it. Enough people believed in it then.
But yeah, that was so. I guess I was a rebel rouser, and people would think.
Sometimes you got to have that though.
Push the boundaries a little bit, but it worked out great. Hey, George Hill, he was so furious at me, and I'm gonna tell you, he just went to heaven not too long ago. And I love George to death. George has been one of the greatest houndsmen ever, greatest breeders there ever was. He's just a dog man. And he come up to me that Saturday at the Nationals, and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you from?" I said, "Sure." I said, "What's going on, George? How you doing?" He said, "I just want to tell you." He said, "I want to apologize for the way I acted at that membership meeting." He said, just because you think one way and I think another. He said, I shouldn't get upset and mad. He said, you should be able to like what you like. I should be able to like what I like, but we should
Right.
still be friends. And we shook hands and hugged and sat there and left it at that.
Yep.
And I told the people, I've told the story a million times. I think that takes a lot for someone to go up when
It
you're
does.
wrong, to go up and say, you know what, I was wrong, and he did that, and that just added to his mystique for me because I
Yeah.
already knew he was one of the greatest dog men there ever was. So
Right. Right.
he's a very good guy. Love me some
Absolutely.
George Hill.
Absolutely. It's actually funny. I tried to record. You talk about him. I tried to record with him a couple times, and this was probably earlier this year, if my memory suits. Maybe end of last year. I can't 110% remember, but it was really funny. And I've told a few people in person. I've never told it on this on a show before, but I tried to reach out and we. I talked to Mr. Hill a few times on the phone. I was just gathering some, just getting comfortable with him, getting him comfortable with me kind of deal. And I said, all right, Mr. Hill, I said, let's record. He said, all right, buddy. Well, I can talk just about any time. You just call me and we'll have a conversation. I said, okay. So I said, I'm going to call you on this time. We're going to talk for a while and we're going to record and that's going to be great. He goes, that's fine. So we get into it and we start talking, and I think we got about 15 minutes into the conversation, and he said, well, son, I need to get on going, buddy. I got to go run dogs, so we'll have to talk later. It's like, all right, Mr. Hill, that's just fine.
That's funny. That sounds just like him. I tell
Yep.
you what, he could have a bunch of people. Well, and I say that a lot of the young guys these young kids that are field trialing today, unless they heard it from their father or their grandfather, a lot of them don't realize how he used to, he dominated. Like Hill's Gertie got my friend Mike and
Yep.
Lisa McShane from Myrtle Beach. They bought
Right.
Gertie's guy, and Hill's Gertie's guy. What they don't realize is he got scratched the second day at a futurity, and George, he didn't run the third day at a futurity. He flipped him back, put a number on him for the all age, and he won the all age. He
Now,
run 5 out of 6 days. That's
that's
stuff
tough.
that's legendary, man.
Yeah.
And then they paid $14,000, and that was in the early that was in like mid 90s.
Right.
$14,000 in the mid 90s. That was a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. Yeah.
big time. You
Right.
know, that was good
Yeah.
stuff. That was
Absolutely.
crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, we're getting here pretty close to the end of it. One thing I want to hit on real quick before we hit this closing topic, brother. You had, I know we got two things listed. Your honors for the Hall of Fames. You personally are in the South Carolina Fox Hunters Hall of Fame, and Granger's Rita's in the National Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just kind of real quick, when did those happen, and how did that, how did that kind of come about? Obviously, we know how those kind of things come about, but
Yeah. So
uh,
basically, the way it works in the South Carolina state is we have each year we have our annual, we have a couple meetings a year, and one year,
mhm, mhm.
one at the beginning of the year we make our nominations for hunters and that we want to recommend for the Hall of Fame. I think the criteria is you have to be and Glenn is shooting me here if I get this wrong, but one of the criteria is I think you got to be 45 years or older to be in the South Carolina Hall of Fame. You have to be a participant. You're supposed to be a participant of the state affiliation. You need to run foxhounds through the sport of field trialing or judging. You
Right.
need to be a breeder. You need to
Yep.
be a role model. You need to be and participating and promoting the sport of field trialing. Those are some of the main criteria. And so yeah, I was fortunate. I think it was 2017.
Very
And
nice.
I was going through a bad time then. I was going through a divorce,
Mhm.
um, and lo and behold, went to Creedmoor. I was staying with my good friend Brian Haas,
Mhm.
um, and blew me away. I weren't expecting to get nominated, so they
That's an
gave it
awesome.
out, and obviously I've been lucky at the state, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel humbled, and I feel it was a really great honor, and
That's awesome.
I appreciate all those directors that did cast a vote for me. Thank you, because
Absolutely.
listen, they how you had made up, I'm sure. you know, like Mr. Charles Graham used to always mention. He'd say he was when he was winning field trials, he was the biggest crook in the sport. When he and then all of a sudden he didn't win for 10 years, then he was the nicest guy they ever seen. And
Uh-huh.
same thing with Brandon. So I'm sure that at some point or another, when we used to, you know, get trophies through our nose or whatever, I probably had rubbed some the wrong way. But anyway, I think I've made up for it with my sportsmanship and stuff now. I
Very
really,
nice.
really, really go now, and when I really want to see these young hunters like Smokey, like Dylan Chapman and
Yeah.
Matt do good. You know, Matt used to field trial with us. You know, to see them win, I think that's cool. My buddies, Michael Salvo and Ricky Goff, man, they are busted tail over there. And man, I'm happy for them. It's really cool
Right.
to see them do it. And so I'm humbled to get in, and it was a really big honor, and you know it'll probably be one of my lifetime honors, and so you know
Love that.
I'm so I couldn't thank them enough for it. You know, it was very nice, and then obviously Rita got in. I think it was the year Charles Parker was on the committee, and I can't remember who else was on there, but they do like a greatest hound,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah. Right.
greatest dam, they would
Yeah.
do
Greatest
greatest
crawl.
field trial.
Right.
You know, then they do the great, you know, like one of the best hunters or whatever, you know,
Yep.
the hunters and stuff. So, you know, that was, we got her in, and you know, that was, you know, I mean, all them days of hunting her and all, man, that was so cool because she really was a super producer. I believe I could have bred her to a beagle, could have bred her to a Great Dane. She would have made fox dogs.
Right.
She was a way better dog than I'll ever be a dog man, and man, I'd love to stick my hand in her collar again and hunt again. So it's an honor for her to get in. And my
Yeah.
buddy Craig quit field trialing. Well, we're not tight friends anymore, but we used to be, and grown apart. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know, that was his dog, just like it was my dog. It was both of our dogs, and when we went in partners, you know, Samantha Fox was half his, and she was half mine. We went in, and we were all in together, and all
Like
of the
that.
Dog Bluff dogs after that were there now. So I still register them now. So I register half Dog Bluff something, and I register the other half, you know, such and such Crow. I just like to change it
Yeah.
up and
That's right.
keep it changed
Keep
up.
it
But
mixed up.
I'll always run under Dog Bluff Kennels. I never put my name down when I do. I run under Dog Bluff Kennels.
I got you. Understood.
Cool stuff.
Understood. The Hounds Tales podcast is happy to announce our newest partnership with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial or the upcoming hunting season, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound's name to go on. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. Now we are offering Hounds Tales podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. Be on the lookout, guys. It's there. Go purchase it. We're live, guys. Go in, go purchase it. Low10outfitters.com. Click on the Hounds Tales section for your Hounds Tales apparel and the Hounds Tales Pin Series apparel. So thank you so much for Low 10 Outfitters for teaming up with the Hounds Tales podcast. Now let's get you back to the rest of your episode. Hello. Yeah, man, absolutely. It's definitely big honors and congratulations on those two, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. So we're right here at the end of this thing, brother. I definitely appreciate all your time, man. So my last question I always ask, we give a few options, and the one we had talked about for the closing topic was, what is a piece of advice that you can give somebody that's getting into field trialing and trying to get into this competition fox hunting? You know, what is one or two little things that you could give to these guys that are listening and saying, hey, I want to get into this? You know, what is something from your experience that you can give to these guys?
Well, the first thing I think is you should buy one of the greatest things about this sport is raising puppies, whether you breed a female or you go buy some puppies, and when you see winning's winning. So if if I bought your dog today and I win a hunt tomorrow, that would feel good. But let me tell you, when
Right.
you raise a puppy this big, and and it grows, and then you take it and start it, and the first day you see running, and you know you gotta, so you gotta take really good care of them. Take good care of them puppies, and you gotta worm them out. You gotta go out there and mess with them, and You got to give them good food and take really good care of them. Then get out there
Right.
and I don't like to start mine. A lot of these guys are into puppy hunts, and I
Yep.
don't puppy hunt much. I like to go to the 2 days and 3 days. Well,
Yep.
I will go to some puppy hunts.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like to go to some. I just don't go to a lot. But
Right.
so I don't start them as early. But when you do start them, go out there and if you carry them to a break pen after you get them, the man tells you he's got them broke, then you get over there and you start going and hunting them and look at them and look at them hard. And you got to grade them. You know, you got to, this is you got to remember the hounds are not like pets. You know, these are
Right.
they're competition dogs. So you need to look at
Right.
them and you got if they got faults, you got to get rid of them. You know, if somebody's
Yeah.
bad to
Yeah.
say, they'll make somebody a good dog, whether it's a deer hunter or someone on the outside, or
Right.
somebody that runs hogs or something. They'll
Yeah.
make
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody. They might make a pet for somebody, but you get out there and you got to look at them things and judge them hard. And you got to there's one thing is, we'll laugh and joke when we go to the field trials. Now, I'll tell these hunters, if these judges are, I'll be way harder on one than these judges are. I mean, as far as what I'm looking
Right.
for, I probably don't got the fastest dogs they are anymore because I got white dogs, but they I do have had a couple of fast white dogs. It's probably been a couple years ago, but anyway, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
another one too. I'm gonna have one, but anyway, but but you gotta look at them for faults and stuff. You gotta hunt
Right.
them hard.
Yep.
They're not gonna learn anything in the kennels. You got to
That's
take
right.
them and you got to hunt them and hunt them
Yep.
and hunt them. And the greatest thing we have today is tracking collars, shot collars. I mean, so you can break them where you can catch them
Yep.
and
Right.
take care of them. And then once you get them, start competing them and start going and running with your buddies.
Right.
It's if you go run by yourself, they're all going to look good because
All gonna look good. That's
you're
right.
gonna get you're gonna get every crossing,
Yep.
But when you go hunt with your buddies, you can measure them. And then
Yep.
I didn't tell a funny story, but back whenever we first got started, Dono Clemens was on top. Dono had Batman. Batman was
Right.
bad business. He had Frog. He had Foxy Lady.
Hmm.
He had another jip that was pretty nice, and you know. We thought we had some pretty good ones too. So, and we had Samantha Fox and Rita and them. So what did we do? We loaded up our dogs and we went to Dono's and Mr. Hubert's pen, and
Yep.
we had to run at night. And we got out there at night and we run them dogs. And Gator Phipps was there, and we got the flashlights out and we run head to head. And you got to see what you got. And
Yep.
basically, that's a little bit of it. But I'm not knocking anybody that wants to go out there and buy them. I've had some of my young buddies here that we hunt with around the town, and I give them a
Got to
hard
start
time
somewhere.
about going and buying them. There's nothing wrong with that either. If that's where you want to buy one that's already ready made or whatever. But let me
Right.
tell
Right. Right.
you, if you ever when you win a hunt, when you make a champion, and it's one that you bought that you pay big money for, it feels different than it does one that you raised as a puppy.
That's right.
You're
That's right.
sentimental to them or whatever,
Yep.
and then when you breed that one and stuff, it's just a great feeling. And let me
Yep.
tell you, when get out there and you see that puppy start tearing it up and come through and cross the finish line for you and get your trophy and get in there with your buddies and get your picture took, get the
Hard to
magazine,
beat it.
get on Facebook. It's
That's
the
right.
good stuff, man. So
That's it.
yeah,
I
it's
love that. That's great
best of
advice.
luck,
That
anybody just raising puppies. I hope they all do well.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's good stuff, man. Well, like I said, man, we're right here at the end of this thing, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on. It was an honor. It was an absolute honor. I'm glad I finally got up and messaged you about it and appreciate you coming on. I know I've had a lot of requests for you. You can thank Dylan Chapman for this one. He's the one that really pushed me to it. So he definitely he made the big push on it, and I sent you a message, and I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a real joy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any last minute shout outs you want to give before we get off of here?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you and thank you so much. And look forward to listening to some more of your podcast. And nice job.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it a lot, man. Well, everybody out there listening, thank y'all so much. And, guys, if you haven't checked us out, make sure you like and subscribe on any of your listening platforms. It helps us promote, it helps us get out to more people, get more people listening to the episodes. So just want to thank y'all all so much for listening. And like always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. And like always, happy hunting.